Okay, let's get back into it. I'm on page 27. And a guide to selling your home. So you'll want to customize this cover, right? Okay. There'll be no more slides for this section. We're just going to go right to our thing. So you'll see the prepared for by the client name on the bottom there, right? Compliments of you, the agent or agents. And then if you are so inclined to customize the rest of this page, you could do that, or you could leave it that, but make sure you at least do that bottom section. So this next page is the guide to selling your home in preparation, appointments, and so on. This is going to help you during your presentation. Okay, so you should memorize these, if you will. This is the script for it, right? Preparation, confirm the appointment time, show up on time or a little earlier, we already talked about. Have a copy of the listing presentation for the seller with no notes on it, of course, right? Business cards, and know the comps for the homes we already talked about. The appointment. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to get your home sold. There we go. And then you review the pre-listing packet that you emailed them, right? That they probably didn't look at. Going through that pre-listing packet, it won't be that long, but you'll have the questionnaire in there that they probably didn't fill out, so just go through that real quick. It'll answer a lot of the questions that you might have anyway, motivation, all that kind of stuff. You're going to ask, did you have a chance to review the guide to selling your home I left you? If it's yes, then great. And did you complete the questionnaire at the back? Do you have any questions about anything that was presented? If they didn't do the guide to selling your home, well, let's review the packet quickly before we move on. There are some questions at the end for you to answer. Make sure you move through that quickly, right? Be sure to get their preferred communication style and frequency, right? And don't commit to anything that you don't want to commit to, right? If they go, well, I want to hear from you every day, at noon and 5 o'clock. Right? And you're like, well, no. How about once a week at 5 o'clock? We got 6 goals for today's meeting, and then you quickly run through those goals, right? About goal number 6, let me explain that we can expect one of the outcomes from our meeting today. You may list your home with me, that would be great. May you list your home with me. To be honest, that wouldn't be so, list your home without me, that wouldn't be so great. And maybe unable to take the listing, right? Is that fair? Always engage them with that question, right? Is that fair? Would that be a good expectation for today?
1 and 3 kind of sound like the same, right? You may list your home with me, or is it may not?
I may be unable to take the listing because they owe too much, right? You can't sell it.
Okay.
Right? Or something like that. Or they're a racist. Or, there's a few factors that you might not be able to take that listing.
And then if they would say why, I guess, then...
Why? Are you unable to take it?
Sure.
And you would know that at the end, right? If they say why, you say, well, we're going to go through all the things, and it might not be a good match for us, or there might be something that I don't know about that would prevent you from selling, right? Maybe there's a contingency on them selling their home within a certain period of time, right? A lot of those affordable homes, they have those like 10-year, 9-year, whatever, 20-year requirement. I might not be able to sell it because you're going to be heavily penalized, right? And there's not enough equity to make the penalty worth the sale, right? So things like that are examples for them. But it will, they might have a why, so you should have a couple answers for them. Page 29. Thank you for the opportunity to get your home sold. My goal is to get you the most money, shortest amount of time, with least amount of hassle. I look forward to putting my expertise to work for you, and from listing to close and beyond. Right? And you might go like, beyond? What's beyond, right? So, goals for today. Discuss your motivation for selling, right? Define your 10 experience expectations, 10 plus. Review what you can expect from the Keller Williams and me. Explain the selling process, right? A lot of people don't know that. There might be a cheater in here. If not, I have a thing that kind of takes them all the way through the process, right?
Good.
Marketing and how to buy it. Once we get into escrow, then what happens, right? What's the time frames for that sort of thing?
Great.
Review the 3 factors that get your home sold, and then we decide whether we want to work together. Right? Is that fair enough? Yeah, that sounds good to me. Right? Always engaging them while you're going through.
What are
it.
the 3 factors that get your home sold?
3 factors were from prior were
Sorry.
the where's that? The timing, I think, right? Is that the 3 factors? 3 factors
Which
were.
isn't very good. I mean, the closing, like the selling process, isn't 3
You said you'd
factors.
give
It just
us a
says
cheat.
things, but it doesn't give you any information.
Yeah.
It was the. Thanks. That was a good question. I'll get back to you. There was a list in there. I forgot what it was. But definitely know those 3 factors.
Thanks.
You can get back to us.
Better than I do.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
call?
Yeah.
What is called?
Price, right? Is it price? Anyway, we'll get back to that.
Okay.
It might be further on in here too.
And the selling process
He said he'd get a cheater for us.
thing,
As a sheet.
yeah.
On the selling,
Yeah,
on
just-
the
Yeah.
what happens when they go into escrow
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that, right? And they should, the time frame to expect for that. And like a lot of stuff at the beginning, right? Very little in the middle, and that's where you kind of got to come up with stuff to tell them, or you tell them that nothing's happening,
Yeah.
right? I checked on their loan, and the lender said it's in process. Right?
Good news.
Yeah, that's plenty,
Okay,
right?
so now it says there's 5, it was the 5 factors that's on here. It says
Oh, okay.
Oh, where
that's
are
what
you?
recent
fine.
sales, location, condition.
What? Oh, and condition.
Yeah,
Condition.
page
Timing,
Yeah,
right?
page 17 in this
Okay.
section.
Thank you. That's why you guys changed it.
Yeah, there are more than 3.
No wonder I couldn't find it.
Page.
So recent sales, location, condition, competition, and timing.
Yeah. That's different than what ours said. Ours said-
And only 2 that we can change.
Yeah.
5 factors.
Cool. You're gonna give me an updated thing. Okay. Page 30. Remember the listing consultation is about them and their needs, not about you, right? Never about you. Remember that. You are there to ask questions and listen to their answers, right? Remember, don't get ahead of yourself. You ask them a question, you sit there and listen to them and look at their body language too, right? Because if they start doing this or pushing the paper, even involuntarily putting a pen between you and them, are all factors of them disagreeing.
Disengaging, yeah.
So you got to pull back and figure out what that was, and then you ask them that question again. Seems like that question bothered you. Let's talk about it. Why does that bother you, right? Well, I can't move out in 45 days, right? Okay, well, why can't you do that? Let's figure that out. Whatever it was, right? Maybe the comps bothered them. They thought they were going to get way more, right? So make sure you always are looking at them while you're speaking. Some rules of communications. Ask a lot of questions, right? Listen more than you talk. Affirm their response with a great, good idea. I understand that, right? That's wonderful. Don't assume that they know stuff, right? Even if they're seasoned buyers and sellers, right? As we know, the industry changes all the time, right? So something that they thought was how it was, maybe changed since they last bought and sold something, okay? So make sure that you always get their buy-in on something like that, and that one is one of the hardest ones for me personally, anyway, is to make sure that I always assume that everybody knows everything, right? So make sure you ask them. Ask, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you to do a better job of marketing your property and serving your needs, would you mind if I asked you a few questions and take notes? Ask each question, write down their answers. Writing notes demonstrates to the seller that you are listening to them and truly care about their needs, right? You're building the trust. You're building the trust. It's all about you. Where are you moving to? Do you need to sell within a certain time frame? Do you have a price in mind that you would think you'd sell your home? I would move that up to number 1. Are you sure? Are you staying in the area after you sell? Why would you ask that?
You can sell them a house.
Exactly. Double-ended, right?
And you also need to know if they're leaving the state for HARPTA and FERPTA forms and all that, right?
Yeah, because there is a time frame for that if they move out, right? There is a leeway for them to still be able to claim Hawaii resident, right? So you want to make sure that time is right.
And
Good.
something about having a local checking account.
Yeah, they have to
Around
write
that?
their check out of.
So if they do leave, they still have money here that they can write it from so that they're not subject.
Well, the seller's not writing any
Oh,
checks out, right?
But
Okay, page 32. Kel, I'd like for you to have a great experience selling your home. And when it begins with me being very clear on what your expectations are. So I'd like to ask you about that, okay? Each question on the page, allow plenty of time for them to answer. And write their answers in your packet. Allow equal time for both parties and sellers if they are a couple. And make sure if you go on the listing presentations, number 1, are the selling parties going to be there? Because if you're going to have to do it all over again. Don't waste your time, right?
Yeah.
Make sure that whoever's selling the place is there when you're there at that moment. Thank you for your honesty. Knowing how to deliver the 10++ experience helps serve you better in the best possible way. So, 33, delivering the 10++ experience on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not so desirable, 10 being extremely desirable. What is one thing that's happened in this transaction for your experience to be a 10? What would be, right? What is the most important to you about that, right? That's a good one, because if they say communication, well, you better communicate a lot, right? If they're like, I don't care about that, I just want I want this thing to be sold quickly. Okay, well, then we're gonna price it as such, right, or whatever it is. If we could just add one more thing, what other things has happened to make your experience a 10+? If we could add just one more thing, what other thing has to happen? Okay, so that's your first thing and then your second first thing, right? If we could just add one more thing for the experience, what would that be? So your third first thing, right? You might edit that to just have the one answer. I don't know. Depends, right?
Or maybe 2, like if maybe
Just
they're
2.
price driven, getting my number, and then next is,
Communication, right?
or something
Price,
like that. Then
I
you're,
want this sold quickly and whatnot. Let me tell you a bit, page 34, let me tell you a little bit about the company I work with, Keller Williams Realty, Maui, and why you've made a great decision to talk to us about selling your home. Quickly cover the selling points, right? We're number 1 in all categories right now on Maui, as far as sales volume and all that. We're second largest on Maui. We're a global company. We have the best mobile app out there, according to wherever it is.
Who's the first largest?
Coal Bankers.
No way.
Yeah, we kind of keep trading back and forth.
That's what I was thinking. I thought we were bigger than Kobo back then.
Yeah, we sometimes, 1 month we are, 1 month we aren't. I mean, we were that close, right? We have the websites, we have the referral networks here, we have the technology, right? Technology-based systems. Any other questions you have? As your experience grows, you will share more about the abilities and expertise. As a new agent, you may choose to share more about Keller Williams than yourself, right? You have a broker that backs you up, you know, they'll see everything before it goes out, right? Those sort of things. Page 35. Keller Williams Realty, reliability. Founded on principles of trust and honesty, Keller Williams emphasizes the importance of having the integrity to do the right thing, always putting your needs first, and so on and so forth. Now, if you're going to deal with somebody that is not paperwork heavy and all that, you might skip through a bunch of this stuff, right? If they're very, detail oriented, things like that, you might want to have these in there, right? They might not care about the philosophy where others do, right? Or any other thing that we've talked about. So just remember that while you're going through this. They might not know about Keller Williams, so maybe you just say, this is a little bit about our company and where we stand globally and nationally and even locally. Right? And then you would move on from that page. You don't necessarily have to go through and read all this stuff, right? Reliability, and then that. They can read, they can figure that out.
So, my question is...
Okay, so 37, we're leading edge of technology, right? And then maybe you can even show them the app. Maybe they already have the app, right? You've downloaded the app, and then maybe you can show them some other things that we have technology-wise, right? If they are that type of person. Teamwork, at Keller Williams, it's more of a family thing. We all work together to try and accomplish your goal of selling your property, right? Rarely would I read this verbatim, right? Give them the idea and they can figure that out.
Yes.
So I'm on 38. You get from me, what you're getting from me is the following. Quickly cover the professional expertise that you'll provide, right? And then highlight the categories that you're going to do. Why are you set apart, right? Because I'm going to get back to you right away, or I like this area, I grew up in this area, I live in this area, whatever it is that sets you apart, right? And then you ask them if they have, just remember, always ask them questions after you give the statement, right? They'll get in that mode. Especially if you see the signs of disappointment. With my technology, we can conduct your entire real estate transaction online. Our paperless transaction management system means no more faxing papers back and forth, driving across town and all that sort of thing. And then get their buy-in on that. Is that something that you've done before? Right? It's a good question. Oh yeah, we do that all the time. We love that. Great. And you really don't have to talk about it anymore, right? If they're like, well, I don't really have a computer, right? Stuff like that. You're like, okay, well, we're gonna have to figure something else out. That is not. You're not gonna get their buy-in on that, right? If they don't have a computer or they don't have email or something like that, so you might have to do it the old school way. What if they ask you, well, I'm a little bit worried about security with that whole thing?
They don't give out birth dates or anything like that. Social
Okay.
Security, there's no.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, there's a secure portal, I'm sure, that's used.
Yep.
Because you do talk about social security numbers and all of that.
Later on through escrow, but right now we're not taking those. So those are two good answers. And the best one I say is, it's better than the handwritten one because anybody can scribble your name. But when we do electronically, you're password protected. I don't even know it. When you sign the documents, you're the only one that knows that password. No one else does. So how secure is that, right?
Pretty secure.
Pretty secure. Okay, good. So make sure you engage with them those questions, and then let them know. And you don't have to go through that verbatim either. You can just say, hey, we're an electronic company, we do everything electronic, electronic signatures and all that. Are you comfortable with that? Have you had that experience before? And they'll guide you which way you're gonna go with that answer. 39, communication. Your needs always come first. I'll provide you with the service. We agree and communicate to you the ways that will work for you, either once a week and so forth. So, and you kind of already went through that. So be careful on repeating yourself a lot, like we're doing right now, right? Take that stuff out if it's already been talked about. I mean, you could probably dump this whole page, really, right? Or leave this in and dump it from somewhere else. This is kind of far along, so you probably would want to move this page up, closer to the front if you got rid of the other ones. You know what I mean? The pricing, right? Good one to go over. If it's at the right price, we'll know because we're going to get a lot of showings and maybe a few offers. If we get no showings, to go over price.
That's not our page.
39?
That's still 39.
Oh, this is
Still, it's the last thing on the page
sorry.
we're gonna move up.
Page 40. With my technology, we can conduct your entire real estate transaction online. We just talked about that. You guys have that same page?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, make sure you go through this and
Yeah.
dump the repeats and whatever.
And again, it goes into technology on
Exactly.
41.
Staging and stuff.
Technology, staging, right? Back again. So if you've already talked about these things, make sure you edit this stuff out.
Yeah.
You don't want to keep repeating yourself. Certain things you do, but you've already made the point, right?
What is this in my cancellation guarantee?
That they can
Protect your right
cancel
to
at
end
any
a
time.
relationship.
That they can cancel at any time.
So you say that. That seems like something that might be important to say, or do you
Yeah.
put that under the rug?
Well, you say it when you're going through the contract, when you're signing with them, you say, Mike, you can, either of us, this is the clause where either of us can cancel at any time, right? Or you can cancel.
Well,
at
it's a
any time.
bilateral contract, so you do need both parties to agree on the cancellation.
Yeah.
But you could leave that in or take it out, depending on what your guarantee is, right?
You can say, I'll agree to cancel if we want to.
Right. If our expectations are not met that we agreed upon,
Mm-hmm.
in this presentation, then we can cancel, right? But they can't just cancel for no reason. It has to be something, right?
Well,
So be cautious with the guarantee because you know how that goes.
so is this in the listing agreement?
Guarantee, no.
It's not.
No. We don't
It
do
was
any
in the-
guarantees.
It wasn't a guarantee, but in the contract, there's this place that says this can be
Canceled at any time.
by either.
Not at
party.
any time. It says it can be canceled, but there's a time frame for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's usually we write it up for the year, and then after 6 months, they can cancel with a 30-day notice.
Okay.
So what you're getting in with that statement there is their buy-in on the expectation, right? The expectations that we came up with, that we agreed to, if we're not fulfilling those at any time, then we can talk about cancellation.
Okay. Sounds like some gray area there.
Yeah, I would not give a guarantee.
Okay,
Yeah,
just say
I
it.
would not give
Yeah.
a guarantee.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then again, the default here is the contract is for a year, you said?
Yeah, it's
No,
actually a
6 months?
6-month listing,
I would
but
think
we
6
write it up
months.
for a year, and then after six months they could cancel.
And you tell them that,
Yeah, as you're explaining the form,
okay,
the form,
with a 30-day notice.
with a 30-day notice after, the 6. So at the 5th month, they could write the 30-day notice, and then when the 6th month hit, it'd cancel. But 6 month is fair, because if you're gonna be marketing and hustling for them and all that, they gotta at least commit to you for 6 months, right?
Okay, so that's why you try to get it for a year.
Mhm.
And
Right.
they can, so then there's a protection clause?
Protection period,
Uh-huh, okay,
We usually put 180 days in there.
Okay.
Which you have to give them, the new broker, the list, and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. But
so you keep track of all of your people that have contacted potential buyers?
correct. Right, you
For
write it down on
protection.
a list. Yeah.
Okay.
And you send that over. And I think you go through that in a different Ignite, the actual form.
Okay, but
Yeah.
it's still part of the listing agreement.
Right, and so that would be part of the listing presentation, right? So this is the pre to writing that up, right? You're going through this thing. That's why this is really long, right? You wouldn't make it this long.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time you get done with this, they're like, all right, already, let's do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at any time while you're going through this presentation, they say, okay, sounds good,
Let's do
right?
this.
You're like, okay,
And
dump
then-
this stuff and let's get right
But
to the
then you
agreements.
would maybe cut to the chase of some of this legal stuff, like that it's gonna be for a year, and then after 6 months, you can, within 30 days. And
Right, and
because
so
now they're
as you're
actually
giving the
signing something.
presentation, you might be throwing that stuff into it, right? Once you
Mhm.
get familiar
that's
with
what I
it.
Okay.
Getting ready to
Yeah.
sign.
Because they'll have those questions probably as you're going through with it, right? Well, how long am I gonna commit with you
Mhm.
for,
Mhm.
right? Well, the contract is for a year, but after 6 months, you can cancel.
Right,
I want you to at least commit to me for 6 months,
right.
right? And then get their buy-in, so. Yeah, you definitely kind of go back and forth a little bit with the listing contract and this.
Mm-hmm. And then
So-
when you're at higher end, if you have something that's closer to $2 million, say, you would mention that, homes or the properties at this price, it's not a 90-day sale like it is, for Maui. It could be a year or more.
Yeah, definitely. Higher end stuff lasts,
Yeah.
takes a lot longer
It
to
doesn't
sell.
fall into these stats.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah, because the higher end, your buyer pool is smaller,
Yeah.
right? And you have a lot of inventory in
And
higher end.
so do you stick with the 6 months? Do you still say
Yeah,
that, or do
I-
you
but
really try to
most-
push it to a year? Because it could literally take a year or two.
Yeah, I would probably say, I want you to commit me for a year on luxury, sure.
And then also, if I were the seller, I'm just putting myself in their shoes, I would say, so you showed me the stats for, 90 days for Maui, but that really is useless. Don't know why you brought that, but why don't you tell me what
Well,
the
you
stat
wouldn't
is for
do that.
me?
You're gonna, when you pull stats for anything, you're gonna go a year back.
Right. Okay, so you're just not gonna say, like, the properties usually sell in 90 days.
Well, you would see
You're not
that on your days on market, right? So you
Right.
go a year back,
Yeah.
right? No matter what property you're listing, you're gonna go a year back,
Mhm.
right? And then you're gonna pull up like kind, right?
Right.
With that, you're gonna see the days on market.
Mhm.
Show them, look, these all have been on for a year
Right,
or more.
right.
So
It
I want
doesn't-
you to at least
it
commit for a
doesn't
year for
follow-
me too.
Yeah, regular single family.
I think the
Yeah.
stats
Stats.
that you're looking for is on InfoSpark, so you can search anything over 1 million single family.
Yeah,
And then,
Be cautious on those though. When you're pulling comps, you go off the MLS.
Okay.
Do not use those infos. Those are all marketing sites, right? The
Oh.
MLS is your real data. That's gonna tell you the real data there. They do pull off of that, but I don't really trust those
the
ones.
days on market, yeah.
Yeah, I trust the MLS, because
Okay.
that is our data, and I use that more than
good
anything.
info.
The InfoSparks are good for talking points and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and they do pull our data, but I still trust our MLS more.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. The luxury market is a different market, right? And it does take a lot longer. It's a buyer's market right now in luxury because there's just a lot of inventory there, right? Where the other, the regular stuff is still a seller's market, right? Because there's lack of inventory there. So
Right.
good, very good questions. And you might want to explain that to them too, right? They don't know that,
Right.
the versus.
Well, also, what we're talking about isn't luxury, it's farm, so, it might be in that price range, luxury price range, but it's not luxury property.
Mm-hmm.
It's acreage.
Right,
So-
sure. Which would also bring your buyer pool down, right?
Exactly.
Very unique buyer for that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, good. Okay, 42. If their answer to the pre-listing pack question, have you ever bought or sold real estate,
Same.
was no, you may need to explain the steps more thoroughly. If yes, you can skim over content. That's what we just said.
Yeah, we just talked about 2 pages before.
Pardon?
We just talked about this 2 pages
Yeah,
before, but,
yeah, they
cheaters.
finally caught up to us.
okay.
I'd like to explain the selling process to you and what services I'll be providing each phase along the way. Cover the 3 phases listed, 5 phases. And any questions, right? So that one you might want to get rid of because you've already talked to them about that, right?
Yeah.
Home selling process, right? Service and marketing, offers and negotiation, and contract to close. This you might keep in there, but you might take out for specific people, right? They bought and sold a lot of stuff. You might not need the slide in there. If they're new, that you might need it in there, right?
So is this the cheater you were talking about, or is this not?
No, this is not the cheater.
All right.
The cheater one goes right down the line on
It's in the buyer's presentation.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm. And the cheat sheet for that.
Really?
Once again, committed to selling your home for the most money, shortest amount of time, least amount of hassle. Servicing and marketing, my 14-step marketing plan. If it's not 14 steps, change it my 3-point, my 7-point, right? Offers and negotiation. Every offer presented will be discussed in detail with you, right? The pros and cons of each, right? And you'll talk to your broker about it prior to them. So you'll have that input already, right? Stuff to make them feel comfortable. Contract to close, I'll coordinate the closing process, right? You'll call the survey company, you'll call the termite company, those sort of things, right, to help them out. Okay, 44, smooth to closing. If they've sold a home, tell them, it may have been a while since you sold a home. So let's look at what what is expected of the seller at the closing table, right? What are they going to pay for? If they're first time selling, let's review what what's expected at the closing table. So they're going to expect you to pay for such and such and such and such, right? If there's termites, then you're going to need to pay for the tenting. Is there enough money to do that, right? Part of the whole seller's net thing.
Survey. That can be paid through escrow though, right?
Yeah. The termite, you got to use caution. If you're really close in your amount that you can sell it for, then you got to be cautious because you might have to delete the L2 altogether, right? The termite altogether, because you're too close. They can't afford to pay for that. So be real cautious when you're doing the seller's net. Asking them that. 45. Closing process finalizes the sales of your home, makes everything official, also known as a settlement. The closing is when you get paid and the buyer receives the deed and the keys to the home, your home. Sellers commonly pay for the following: mortgage balance and prepayment penalties, if applicable, other claims against the property, unpaid special assessments, although the contract asks, right? And usually we put prorated. That the assessments will be prorated at the date of closing so that the buyer takes over the payments.